December 17, 2019. It's Tuesday morning and it's 10 o'clock. And you know what that means? It's time for Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports. And good morning, everybody, and welcome to the show. We're going to talk a lot of little nuggets today, a lot of little rumors, things like that. Lenny, thank you. Great job this morning. Thank you guys for being in the chat room. And let's get into it and see what's going on in the fantasy world of baseball. Well, last night, the Reds continue to add to their pitching arsenal. Wade Miley agreed to a 2-year, $15 million contract with the Cincinnati Reds. Miley now, he is the latest addition to a Cincinnati rotation that has, well, I think significantly improved this offseason. He could find himself in the number 4 spot in the rotation with Luis Castillo, Trevor Bauer, and Sonny Gray. Now remember, last year with Houston, Miley enjoyed a 14-6 record. He had a 3.98 ERA, a 1.34 whip, and he struck out 140 while walking 61 over 167 and a third innings. So it was a career year for Miley last year. Now he brings that over to Cincinnati, where the Reds look to improve on what was already a better pitching staff. In more pitching news, Sergio Romo, he signed a 1-year contract with the Twins on Monday. Romo began the 2019 season with the Marlins. He was dealt to the Twins at the trade deadline, and he was really a big plus for the Twins going down the stretch. His 3.18 ERA with Minnesota, 0.93 whip. He struck out 27 and walked only 4 and had 3 saves over 22 and 2/3 innings of work. So with Taylor Rogers racking up 30 saves a year ago, Romo isn't expected to be the team's everyday closer, though he could see occasional save opportunities. But it does look like he'll be handling mid to high leverage situations, probably in that hold situation. And remember the new rule coming into this year. You got to pitch 3 outs in an inning. So Romo certainly capable of that. The Twins with a big ad. More bullpen news. Joe Smith signed a 2-year, $8 million deal with the Astros on Monday. Now, Joe Smith, to me, was as impressive as any reliever Houston had in the postseason last year. Now, he was 35 years old. He had injuries. He only pitched 25 innings. But in the playoffs, he was stellar. And he finished the year with a 1.80 ERA, almost 23% strikeout rate, and only a 5% walk rate. So look for Smith to be an integral part of that Astro bullpen as we head into 2019. Now, the Astros are going to be looking for a starter, of course, to replace, well, who can replace Garrett Cole? But Joe Smith certainly will be a big piece in that bullpen as they begin the season. Now, the Yankees yesterday made what I consider probably a minor move. They added Adam Warren back, and I looked at Adam Warren's numbers, and his ERA, whip, you name it, while pitching in New York below 4. Everywhere else he has pitched in the last 2 seasons above 4, and in some instances above 5. So maybe there's something about the Bronx that's suitable to Adam Warren. He signed a minor league deal with the Yankees on Monday. That will last through the 2021 season. He had Tommy John surgery in September, so he's unlikely to pitch at any point this upcoming season. And so his appearance-based incentives in his contract will take effect in the 2021 season. So again, don't look for Adam Warren on any fantasy teams next year. He's out for the year with Tommy John. Matt Bush signed a 2-year minor league deal with the Rangers on Monday. Boy, yesterday was a busy day for pitchers, wasn't it? Bush has been battling elbow issues since June of 2018. He did get back on the mound for the first half of 2019 before being shut down for Tommy John surgery. He'll miss most or all of the 2020 campaign, but he did sign the 2-year deal, so look for results from him, probably picking up in 2021 again. Yesterday, Blake Swihart signed a minor league contract with the Rangers. He received an invitation to spring training. Now, remember Swihart, multi-positional player for the Red Sox, really a highly rated prospect. He can catch. He can play some corner infield. He can play some corner outfield. He was a highly rated prospect. He's going to be headed into his age 28 season, but he has never established himself at the big league level. His career slash line at the big leagues, a 243 average, a 301 on base, a 355 slug over parts of 5 seasons, and it's really unclear what role he'll be playing with the Rangers as we head into the season. But he did sign yesterday, and so we'll see what they do with Blake Swihart. Now, Yoenis Cespedes and the Mets, over the weekend, they agreed to restructure his contract. I think this is significant, and I think it is probably a precedential type situation because of injuries. You know, I was thinking about Madison Bumgarner, and remember a couple of seasons ago when he was injured on the motorcycle and the Giants could have voided the contract but didn't. And that's another story. I guess we could talk about Madison Bumgarner a little bit here, but I want to focus on Cespedes first. Cespedes had been scheduled to make almost $30 million this upcoming season, but now, due to the restructure, will make significantly less. He appeared in just 119 games over the last 3 years combined. Now, during this offseason, he has been hitting, he's been running, he's been working his way back from multiple ankle fractures, injuries he suffered after taking a fall on his ranch back in May. Though his availability for the start of the 2020 season still does remain in question. Now remember, that's what he did. He fell on his ranch, a non-related baseball injury. And due to the questionable nature of that injury, which occurred as he was recovering from heel surgery, the Mets were able to file a grievance and save reportedly over $10 million ahead of this season. Now what does that do? That opens up $10 million for this year's budget to possibly go out and make a trade or possibly go out and pick up another free agent. Now, I go back to Bumgarner. The Giants had that same opportunity a couple of years ago. Bumgarner's riding motorcycles and is injured. Injures his non-pitching shoulder, if you remember. But the Giants do nothing about it at the time. So it'll be interesting to see how Cespedes recovers, how this type of injury situation might apply to other players going forward. Certainly the Mets are taking full advantage of it, and I'll look for other teams to do the same thing, really. We'll see. Now, a lot of reading this morning on The Athletic about Frankie Lindor and the Dodgers. Okay, so let's dig into this one more time. So Lindor, a great player, a franchise-face player, and Cleveland, I didn't really think would be that interested in trading him. Really. But the Dodgers just don't seem to go away. One thing that I've read is any trade involving Lindor must involve Gavin Lux going from LA to Cleveland. But then I read other reports that say not necessarily so. You've got an Alex Verdugo. You've got pitching that could be involved. And so I really don't know this morning where we are with that situation. I really think what you're going to wind up seeing happening is nothing. And that is Lindor remaining put and the Dodgers remaining with their prospects. But they have pitching prospects. They have Ruiz, the catching prospect. May, of course, who came up last year. Cleveland's interested in him. But what I've heard is this, and what I read this morning was this. If the Dodgers aren't willing to do a deal centered around Gavin Lux, then there is no trade. If Lux is in the trade, there is a package that could be made. In other words, no Lux, no Lindor. And that's what I keep reading this morning as we go forward with this drama involving Frankie Lindor. Now, there are a couple other pitchers left on the market, Hyun-Jin Ryu being one of them. Now, the Blue Jays are mentioned in Ryu dealings. They weren't known to be in on Corey Kluber or Madison Bumgarner, but the transactions which happened Sunday saw Kluber land in Texas and Bumgarner in Arizona might actually have hurt Toronto's chances of upgrading its rotation. The Jays had been in serious or have had serious interest in Hyun-Jin Ryu, but the Dodgers could now more aggressively pursue a reunion with that left-hander now that Kluber and Bumgarner are off the table. The Dodgers have said, though, that the price tag on Ryu, a 34-year-old, they're a little bit high. So, do the Dodgers try to retain Ryu? Could he still wind up in Toronto? To me, he's the next pitcher to come off the market. Now, the Rangers can probably cross off the list of Ryu suitors after acquiring Kluber, but the Blue Jays are in it, the Twins are in it, the Angels are in it, the White Sox are in it, the Cardinals are in it, and the Padres are in it. So we got about 7 teams that are in the Ryu sweepstakes. So we'll see how that pans out. Now, you know Toronto has a strong core of young position players, Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, Kevin Biggio, Lourdes Gurriel. And if they could bolster the rotation to go along with these strong hitters, then all of a sudden Toronto could become a player in the American League East and certainly in the wild card. They've already added Chase Anderson and Tanner Roark this offseason, but landing a high-end quality starter has got to be a priority for this up-and-coming club. Now, they're unlikely to be a serious contender until probably next year, 2021, but next year's crop of free agent starting pitchers is a lot weaker, and Ryu may be the best thing going. So let's see what Toronto might do in terms of trying to land this free agent pitcher. Will the Dodgers again try to get him back as well? I don't know. So we'll have to take a look. The Dodgers mainly interested in this Lindor trade, whether it's Lux, Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin, Keibert Ruiz, Josiah Gray, Jeter Downs, some package to send over, including Lux, and then probably after that, the focus would shift to Ryu. We'll have to keep our eye on that one. Now, in town this week in New York is Garrett Cole. And my understanding is tomorrow, Wednesday, will be the press conference to announce Garrett Cole being part of the Yankees. The question is, will he have shaved the beard by then? What do you think? I don't know. The great white whale has landed in the Big Apple. We'll have the press conference probably tomorrow. All New York will be abuzz. I can't imagine what the back pages of the papers will say, but certainly an interesting situation with Cole coming to town. Now, let's talk about Josh Donaldson for just a moment. The Nats are reported to be heavy on Donaldson. Now that they've lost Rendon, who signed for $245 million to Anaheim, they have put the Nationals a full court press, if you will, on Donaldson. The Braves are still involved in the Donaldson sweepstakes, as are the Twins. So Donaldson, Ryu may be the next 2 free agents to sign with new clubs. I've also read this morning that the Angels are interested in signing the Tigers' Matt Boyd. That's right. The Angels' top priority this offseason was addressing their rotation. Of course, Strasburg signed with the Nats. Cole joined the Yankees. Then the Angels went and signed Rendon. They've also acquired Dylan Bundy. And how many of you guys think this could be the resurgent year for Dylan Bundy? Is this finally the year we see the Dylan Bundy that we've heard so much about over the years? I don't know, but we do know this. The pitching of the Angels is still a major area of need. And I'm curious, I wonder, I guess it's health related, but I just had a great feeling they were going to be on the Corey Kluber sweepstakes. Obviously not. So now they're showing interest in acquiring Tigers left-hander Matt Boyd. Boyd finished with a .456 ERA. Now, he did allow 39 home runs last year in 185 innings. He did make some notable strides, including increasing his strikeout rate from 19.9% to a career high 30.2% last year. Boyd has, here you go, this is the key, I think, 3 years of team control remaining, but he will turn 29 in February. Detroit, in the early stages of a rebuild, would probably love to move him if they could get some pieces. I don't know that there's been a lot of attention there, but, Joe Adele, forget it. I can't imagine him going to Detroit for Matt Boyd, but he is the Angels' only prospect ranked among MLB's pipeline top 100. He's number 5, way up there, but he's the only one. He's unlikely to be traded, so putting a package together for Matt Boyd could be very difficult, although the Angels have said this morning, as I read, they are expressing interest in trying to see if they can put a package together for him. Now, MLB insider John Heyman reported this morning that Dellin Betances is seeking a 1-year deal in the $10 million range. The reports are that the Mets and Phillies have emerged as, quote, prominent players, end of quote, for Betances. Now, I don't think the Mets are that likely. Could the Phillies be? They go out earlier, yesterday at the press conference, Didi Gregorius announced. Now you've got Girardi managing. Dellin Betances would be a great fit in Philadelphia. Philadelphia Phillies love these hard throwers, and Betances fits that bill for sure. So, interesting to see what the Phillies do. Will they try to get Betances? I like the move myself. Betances gives you that